What's up, ladies? What's up? What's up? Let me click live on Instagram. Hey, if you are not in our free Facebook group, make sure you join us. It's called Macro Tracking and Weightlifting for Women. We have a ton of free resources and education and freebies, and we're really there to serve you. So make sure you head over there. Amazing. Well, today with me, I have Sierra. She's one of the trainers here at Queens of Iron. And we're going to be doing this every week moving forward, me and one of the trainers. And we're going to be doing like a podcast interview style so you guys can get to know her, but also so she can teach you because she's amazing. She has many, many, many years of experience training women in fitness and nutrition. She's seriously an incredible powerhouse. She's a competitor and just a phenomenal woman. So I'll just be asking her questions. And you can ask questions too in the comments. Just drop them in the comments. We'll always prioritize your questions 100%. And if we're not on anymore, I'll come back and reply. We love to talk, so it's going to be fun. I do have questions to ask, but we also just kind of start going at it. So I hope you really enjoy this, and I'm excited for you to listen. All right, cool. All right, Sarah, I'm going to move my desk down in just a minute because I feel like I'm like this. So give me a minute. But as I'm doing that, the first question I want to ask is, what fitness myth, let's see, what did I say? One fitness myth you wish would disappear forever. Tell us what that is.
Oh my gosh, there's probably a bunch, but if I had to pick my biggest, and it's the one I fell for the longest time, was like low calories, lots of cardio. And I'm still surprised from where we are now that this continues to still be, I feel like, pushed so heavily that it's like you need to always lower food. You always need to add all this cardio. That's how you're going to get the fat loss. And it's like everything can be used as a tool to get fat loss. But sometimes what I find is all these women they're drained, they're miserable, they can't live a life. And then it leads to so much, like, to me, you know me, I'm big about mindset. It leads to a lot of mind pieces that get really messy. Food becomes messy. Relationship with food becomes messy. Overeating, binging. There just seems to be this cycle where it's like, if I have to be extreme to get results, when I see it every single day, like, and sometimes people will come to us and be like, that's more food than I've ever eaten. And we're like, this is your deficit. This is maintenance. And it's exactly what we need, though, because if we're not fueling your body, you are going to, people don't realize this either, but your body is a natural adapter. It's going to start conserving energy in all the ways. Like, you'll stop moving. Example, contest prep Sierra. I talk with my hands. It was like, you probably know, Kristen, I'd be like, sometimes not because I was miserable, but like my body was just trying to conserve as much energy as it could. And it will naturally do that.
I was going to say, and people are like, oh no, I move the same. It's like, no, it's happening subconsciously. You don't even realize.
You blink less. Like you start talking slower. Like all these things that you normally just naturally do, your body will slow. I remember even like trying to watch a TV show. I was like, I don't want to watch this. And I would not move like 2 centimeters to go get the clicker because I didn't want to move. People do, like, you could see me with like 17 different cups or glasses being like, I'm going to take these all to my office, like trying to make one trip instead of maybe easily making 3, because this would be the easiest. Like, I'm trying to not move.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even realize it.
Now, I will say this is different from when you go into a training program or even yourself where you go up to maintenance to prime your metabolism. 98, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, or any of your thoughts, but like 98% of women don't need this. And so what's happening when you do that, especially when you don't have the tools yet, because you don't, and that's okay. When you do that, you're often going into a surplus because of lack of compliance. So you're gaining weight. You're like, what's the problem? And they're like, oh, we're just priming your metabolism. Hell no. There are rare people who are truly, truly under eating, because most people think they are, but to be honest, they're really not. But very few and far between people are actually under eating. It's not about just jacking them up to maintenance. It's nice and slow reverse to see, what is your body doing, right? So I just want to make sure that y'all know that was clear when she said clients come in and they're suddenly eating so much more food. It's not that we've brought them to maintenance. It's that we've brought them to a healthy deficit so their body can more easily release the fat.
100%.
Yeah.
We're a sustainable deficit where we're not
Yeah.
having to be this up and down and back and forth. Or, you know, my favorite is where it's like, well, I just didn't track on the weekends. And it's not, I was super mindful. Like I was really good. And it's like, I don't need you to be, it's not good or bad, right? It's not good or bad. It's, hey, let's get a really good awareness of what that weekend looks like. Because I've had a lot of women like, they eat really beautiful foods. And then we log it 3,000.
Yeah.
Easy. And they're like, ooh, and you're like, and this is why we're not losing weight because maybe you're super low on the weekends. And even if you're eating really beautiful foods, clean foods, it doesn't mean you can't eat in a surplus. And especially if you're eating out, you add drinks to the mix. And I mean, any little thing, it just stacks up really quick. And the minute we get that on lock, it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah, all the fat's off. Yep.
Yeah, it's real.
And I can hear some of you saying, there's no way I could eat that much. You'd be shocked. You can. I know for a fact you can.
Even myself, I'm still shocked with what I'm eating now in a deficit from like, where I've been in deficits before. And I have hypo. Like I have things
hypothyroidism.
Sorry. Thank you.
I know you're talking like to me because I know everything. And so I keep trying to correct your language. Like they don't know what you mean by that.
I'm sorry. Hypothyroidism. And that impacts, like, obviously thyroid impacts a lot of systems in your body and it will impact how your body burns calories. And so I'm eating, for the record, 2,400 in a deficit. Like that is my deficit. And I know in the past I've eaten 1,600, 1,500, really low. And it's fascinating how different my body is eating more food in a deficit. And even clients, we have some clients who they're like, oh, we hear sometimes, oh, shorter people can't eat it. I will fight you on that. But you really can bring your food up, and fueling your body, I think, is one of the biggest things I see women still try. Like, I know we're talking about falling into that, but it really, I see it so often that they're like, no, I have to eat less. And they even when you give up, they're like, no, I need to eat under my macros, right? No. I want this food is here for you and to serve your body and life and everything else. It's insane.
And just like she said, ladies, just now is the fueling actually hitting your macros all the way. And, one woman said, I think it was yesterday, she said, well, what if I'm just not hungry? Should I just not eat those macros? And it's like, well, if you're not hungry for that extra meal, then you need to put those macros in another meal or spread out through the other meals to, literally hit your macros. Because like Sierra was talking about before about adapting, if you're consistently eating less, your body's going to adapt, subconsciously moving less, right? Changing patterns and behaviors. It takes carbohydrates and calories for your brain to be working. And so if you own your business or depending on your role where you work, you need creativity, right? And so if you're constantly trying to eat under, not only is it then training your mindset to, I need to do less food, I need to do more activity, it creates a whole whirlwind of issues.
And you nailed it right on the head, mentally, right? Mentally, because just so many pieces with the mindset, and almost like I'm suffering and I'm in this extreme and look at me go. And then this isn't working. I can't do this. And then it's also this piece of shame, guilt, and you have all these different emotions and behaviors. And then you just feel stuck and you're stuck.
Cycle. Yeah.
The mind is probably what, me.
It's huge.
Is everything. Like I had a whole conversation this morning with someone about this and they got a rant because it was like, no, this is probably your most powerful tool. And it's also the hardest because if you've been trained, like I got to hit those low calories. I got to do, it can feel really super scary to be like, you mean I need to eat food? That feels unnatural. That feels like the opposite, counterintuitive to everything I've been taught. And you almost have to that's why it's so helpful to have somebody else there looking, using, to be able to guide you, because it's not even a one size fits all. It's really dependent on
Yeah.
you, your body, your data, and just the mindset piece coming into that of like, how are we going to attack adding more food when that feels so uncozy? Like,
Yeah.
mm,
Absolutely. I love what Deb said the other day. She's like, I feel like I have 20 pounds of emotional weight taken off me thanks to Sierra. I'm like, that's amazing, because not only is that emotional weight you're carrying, but it's also self sabotaging so much of your fitness and nutrition. So to have that taken off, it's like, whoa, how is my highway clear now? I've been sitting in traffic for 5 years. Like, it's cool.
it was so cool because we also had moments where we realized like we had a binge happen, and it felt weird to have that when that used to be a norm. And her just like, it didn't impact me like it used to, or, I'd go off the rails. Like, and it was like, we had this moment where it's like, whoa, this is weird, Deb. This is weird. And she was like, huh, I have grown. I have really changed
Mhm.
these habits. And we're being able to now, where it felt really hard to stick in a deficit, right? And we had to kind of work through those mindset pieces, almost like taking away like the perfectionista, the like, I call it the hidden self. Sorry, I'm going to go off, Kristen, so you can stop me. But you have the side that everybody has approved of, right? The hard worker, the she always is so reliable. She's resilient. She's did it. Like, those are the parts we love to show people. And I always tell my clients, like, be messy. Like, I
Yeah.
want to see you. I do not need you to people please me. Like, people pleasers are angry inside. But there's this hidden self that's like, we try to kind of mask with these identities. Like, well, I'm struggling, or maybe I've struggled in my life and I don't want to look stupid. So perfectionista comes out. Or
Mhm.
for me, I was told as a child, I was super dramatic. And for me, I like look back and I was like, I'm just emotional, real. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna own that. I am. It's who I am. It makes me me. But
Mhm.
people call it dramatic. Totally cool. Now I can hear that word and I'm not like, I'm not dramatic. But what I did was suppress my emotions, and I became
Yeah.
a eater. And so all these little identities, the binge eater, the perfectionista, all those like parts we don't want people like see, we kind of mask with this identity. And
Yeah.
those are the things that hold us back the most. Like the mind of like, if I have to do this journey perfect, of course you're gonna be like, this isn't gonna work, because
Exactly.
I tried. I'll try. I tried to be perfect. Didn't work.
You guys, no one's perfect.
We're human. And I
We're
think
human.
this piece where women are like, I'm not, no, I have to be like this magical fairy woman who is just gonna nail it out of the park, and it's gonna be perfect every day. And I'm like, life is gonna happen, and probably the most amazing tools we can learn in your journey. And I will share this always: flexibility and
Yeah.
adaptability always, because I even know today, like, I have a plan. The plan will probably shift and pivot as the day goes on, and you just never
Yeah.
know what's going to get thrown your way. Being able to still say, hey, there's going to be obstacles today. There's going to be things I'm going to have to step up to the plate and do, even when it feels tough or challenging,
Yeah.
but it may not look perfect on paper. And that's something I think, it can be challenging to learn how to do, because we
Yeah.
want to be perfect. We like when it makes us feel like, oh, I'm doing it right. When it's like, what if we're doing it right by learning to be flexible, adaptable,
Exactly.
make it fit in your life?
Exactly. You show up with messy action to learn how to pivot. You can never learn how to pivot if you always try to be perfect. Like, I'll say too, for the women who, I don't know if y'all do the Enneagram. Okay. It's like a personality thing, but I love it. I think it's so accurate. I'm an Enneagram 3. And I think a lot of our ideal client is similar to a 3, where we achieve, we're the achiever. That's what it's called. And performance is a big deal. And you just you were always working harder and harder and harder and harder. And a lot of threes, their self-worth is in performance, unfortunately. And so it's something you have to be really mindful of. Well, in my past, it was like if I wasn't hitting my macros perfectly or whatever, I felt so embarrassed that I wasn't performing perfect. Like I felt ashamed and like, oh my gosh, it was awful. And so I would often run from it because I couldn't be perfect. And I didn't want to be judged, I guess. I didn't want someone to see that hidden character, I guess. Now just you thinking of it as you say that, of not being able to be perfect. But what was really happening by doing that is there was so much momentum and potential I was leaving on the table because I couldn't go all in, but I couldn't go all in until I learned those things. And so it's not until you say, I'm not going to be perfect at all, and it's still going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Then it snowballs into massive ROI for your life, your fitness, your results, everything. That goes for business, that goes for family. Like, I'm not going to get married until I'm the perfect wife. Do you see how silly it sounds in that context? It's the same thing.
Real. I'm just sitting here thinking, because I think that's something, like I think of women and I think we fear failure, like the perfectionista, right?
Totally.
This all or nothing, like I gotta be perfect, or like you said, the Enneagram 3, like just high achievers want it to be beautiful, want like it does feel good to succeed. Like we all
Yeah,
like
totally.
but there's also this piece where I really truly believe, people want to like forego failure. I don't want to be in this failure. I don't want to have to
Mm,
fail. But I truly believe if you do not fail, then you're not doing anything. You're staying right in your comfort zone and you're
yeah,
staying with the results, the progress, whatever it is. It could be something you want in life. It doesn't even have to be fitness and nutrition, but you're going to stay there because if we're not failing just plants these beautiful succeeds to succeed. It's
yeah,
new, it's learning. And if I think we want to be like, how do I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And I want to be like, girl, like, I'm going to be real with you. You are going to fail, but not
it's
fail
great.
with the sense of I'm failing and I'm not going to make progress. It's I'm going to fail because I'm human.
Yeah,
New things I'm learning that are going to push me and challenge me, and I'm going to have to step outside. But every single failure is forging me forward. Like every
yeah,
single failure is teaching me a skill or a tool or something, even mindset wise, that like we need to bust through this. And
yeah,
I wish more women knew that, because I think sometimes they're like, I'm failing, I can't do this. And it's like, no, you're failing and you're taking action and you're doing, it's messy. It doesn't always feel
yeah,
good in the moments. Cause like, I'm like, who wants to be in that messy? Nobody wants to sit in the messiness. But
yeah,
you look back at those messy moments, we've all had them in our lives where you're like, man, that taught me so much. And like, I
yeah,
am who I am because of that. Like I look back and there was like a big trend on social media that was like, I want to sit down with my past, my past self with coffee and, tell her like everything is great, basically. Like here we are. And I stopped and I was like, actually, I wouldn't want to go and ruin it for her. I would want her
no,
to go through exactly what she needed to be the Sierra that's standing here today, because I needed to go through every single obstacle, every single struggle. And it only makes me like, and same with you, Kristen, like every single struggle you've been through has
yeah,
into who you are, but also how we coach and how you show up and how we do.
yeah,
I can relate, I can empathize. And I'm like, girl, like you can't do something I haven't done. Like I've done the same things you've done, and I've tried to run in circles, and I've tried to do all those things. But those failures are really the things that, to me, like if you're failing, I'm like, go, like
yeah,
we're in it, and I celebrate it. And that probably sounds crazy, but I'm like, we're taking action, and this is where you get to learn. This is where we get to see
yeah.
what's working, what's not, what we need to tweak, how we tweak, and all of that.
Totally. And actually, I'm going to share that story now. I think this is the perfect segue into. I was going to tell Sierra about a personal story. I'm like, actually, I'm going to share that on the live because I made a very mini story about this yesterday, and a lot of you commented, like, I really need to hear that. Thank you. So I want to share that. Quick side note, we were talking earlier, we didn't quite get to it, but we were talking earlier about how her deficit is so high. Same with mine. Mine's in the mid 2000s, right? Calories of where we're shedding fat every week, eating really high calories. And why is that? Of course, one of the reasons is activity, but ladies, the other reason is muscle mass. When you have more muscle mass, you're burning more calories at rest. Cardio is burning calories in the moment. So that's cool, but it's going to suppress your appetite a little bit. It does. And it's a good tool. It can be used a good tool. It's good for your heart. I'm not bashing it by any means, but it's improperly used the vast majority of the time. Whereas weightlifting, not only are you strengthening your bones, your ligaments, your joints, your tendons, your resilience, right? Your body, your muscles, all the things, you're setting yourself up forever. You're setting yourself up in ways cardio never can. And weightlifting, especially depending on the rep scheme, is also amazing for your heart. Amazing for your heart. So like cardio is usually never the answer, honestly. Yeah. Okay.
My last resort, like cardio
Yeah.
could be the last piece, especially with busy women. Like, do you really want to lift and do cardio and do steps and food? Like,
nobody got time for that.
well, yeah, who does? Because it's like, where do I put that in? Where in my life? Because I mean, you're a mom, I'm a mom. Like after work, it's running kids everywhere, doing things.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I've got time for some cardio here. Like real life.
So I'll share this story briefly. Two parts of it, okay? Because what Sierra said was, if you're failing, that's amazing, because essentially you're going out of your comfort zone. Because if you're not failing, you're being complacent. And I say that with love, but it's a freaking fact, right? It's comfortable, but it's complacency. I was unfortunately, opening my heart to my dad. And what I was reminded again was like, I am also emotional like Sierra is. I think that's why our conversations are so deep, because we understand each other and it's so beautiful. And we both open up a lot, right? So it's great to talk. But not everybody can hold emotions, because some people don't even hold their own. And so sometimes, right? And so sometimes when they don't accept that, and as I'm talking to you as women, right? For some of y'all ladies are not emotional at all. Yeah. Give me 5 minutes and then I promise you'll have more value after this. But those who are emotional, when people reject our emotions or say whatever, it's not on you. They're just speaking from limitation. It's not maliciousness. They just don't have that capacity yet, because they haven't done the internal work, because they haven't sat with it. And I believe that's partly why Queens of Iron is so effective at one-on-one coaching, because it is mandatory that all of us are constantly going through that internal work. And if they're not, I fire them. Like, not saying about you guys, but that's why we have this small team that we have, because it's like, if you stop growing, you can't take our clients any further. And that's unfreaking acceptable. Like, it just is. We have this constant pursuit of betterment, right? So anyway, I was opening my heart and just expressing things that were happening. I was making a lot of shifts in my business. I'm getting my PhD right now, essentially in neuroscience. And so just really digging, it's in psychology and theology, but it's really digging deep into neuroscience and how to change behaviors and mindset and thought life and things like that. I'm also the only parent to my child. My ex-husband left us when he was an infant. We've never heard from him since. So it's only my financials. I have no support system around me in terms of like anyone to help with my child besides my nanny. And it's my son's school tuition and my nanny combined this year is the equivalent of me sending 6 students to University of Georgia in 1 year. It's immense pressure, immense pressure, right? Plus my job, right? And my school and working out and being a woman and being a leader for my team, because I have to develop myself as a woman, as a mother, but also as a leader, because it's not the same. A coach and a leader, like it's different. It requires different things, right? It's a lot. And so I was feeling a little bit emotional. And my dad's like, why do you have so many problems? He asked me that. And I was like, damn. And I thought about it and I said, because I don't want the easy life. It would be easy for me to not send my kid to that school. It would be easy for me to not pursue my own school to improve for my staff and my clients. It would be easier for me to not chase big goals, to grow Queens of Iron, to serve more women. Sure, that would be easier. And I wouldn't feel that stressed. But I don't want that life. That's killing your potential. So last month, things did not go according to plan at all. And I had to put to death, kind of, a dream I thought I had. And I've had this dream for years, you guys, since 2014. And I felt like I finally had to put it in the grave. And I felt crushed. I mean, I was like bawling to Sierra. I felt crushed. And I was like, okay. What am I going to do with this information? And you can sit with it, and you do need to grieve. It's not about pushing things under the rug. You do need to grieve and you do need to feel it. But I know that there's always good in things. You always find gratitude. You always find the way forward, right? It took me a little bit, like a week or something like that. I was really upset for 5 days to a week or so. But I moved forward in the way I felt like I needed to. And what's funny is what I thought was my dream actually wasn't. And what I'm now doing now, the shift I had to make in my business and the shift I've had to make in my lifestyle of what felt like the biggest failure ever. I was crushed. I felt like the biggest failure ever actually turned out to be, I'm trying not to cry, actually turned out to be one of the greatest blessings in my entire life. Had I skipped over that failure, I wouldn't be living in this amazing land of green. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. But it's where is your mind going? Where are you letting your mind go? Because if you're sitting, you're like, well, that sucks, and negative, and why did I even try? You'll never be successful. You'll have the bad type of failure. But the good type of failure says, this didn't work. I'm going to pivot. And I'm going to keep going with joy, even when it's hard. And I'm going to keep going with perseverance, even when it's hard. Oh my gosh, your whole world opens up. And then you'll do it again. And it's not for the weak. It's not for the faint of heart. Y'all know why? The women out there who get the best results, it's not that they're better. It's not that they're more capable. It's not that they're less busy. It's that they stay when it's messy.
They stay when it's messy, like gold.
Yep.
Because I think that's where most people quit.
Yep.
The messy middle. The beginning is like, it's like any relationship. Oh, honeymoon phase, new program, everything's great. And then you're like, shoot, I actually have to do this every day. And I actually have to like not everything's
vulnerable
and be real. Like, I mean, I know some clients are like, I don't want to dump that on you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, dump anything on me, because I need to know your life. I need to know what's going on. I need to know like why this isn't working. I don't care. Like, oh, you didn't hit your macros? Okay. Well, let's find out. Let's get curious what's going on. Do we even like our food? Like,
to solve it. Exactly.
Figure it out. And sometimes we don't even, sometimes like, I don't know why. And I'm like, we probably do. We just aren't there yet where we're aware of what is it. Like,
yeah,
you need someone to just put little holes in. And like you said, it's the messiness is the gold. I wouldn't be where I am without being messy. Like, I'm sure even you could say that with Queens of Iron. Like, you wouldn't be
totally
with I had to get rid of that identity of I got to do it all right, because once I learned, like, well, I'm human, I'm gonna be messy, life is gonna happen, and just saying I'm gonna get curious when things happen versus like we get judgy, right? It's like immediate judgment, like you did bad, and like you said, then it's just the Rolodex opens of like, here's all the bad things that you've ever done in your life.
For real.
You've ever failed. Here we go. Brain's like, let's go on a journey. And you're like, no, we're going to stay right here. And I'm going to start looking for like, hey, how am I winning? But also, okay, I'm
Mm,
failing. This is teaching me something. I'm learning, I'm living.
yeah.
But I see like my favorite are when people will tell me like, Sierra, don't give up on me. I'm like, what? Like, what does that mean?
It's not a thing. I will never give up on you.
Yeah, it's like, girl, I love that you're messy. I love
Yeah.
that this is happening. And I celebrate it because our brains used to being like, that's bad. And we need
Yeah.
to remind our brain, like, no, failure is like,
Learning.
this is the magic that gets me to, like I said, I wouldn't be standing, I wouldn't have stood on a freaking competition stage without messiness, like binge eating, like every little thing in my life that I struggle. And here we are today, a totally different person, same rooted Sierra, like my personality, who I am, but I think the more real I've ever been in my whole entire life,
Yeah.
and continue to push that because I don't want somebody to be fake for me. Like I want
Yeah. We win or we learn. We win or we learn. The only failure is sitting there and like
you sitting in it, like
staying comfortable.
staying comfortable and being like I can't do this, or because it's not real. Like you put your own ceiling on what you can do. Like I like to think of your like capacity as a skyscraper that goes to the moon, like to the sky and above, and we just stop at the first floor. We're like, well,
This is good.
this is good. And then you're like, okay, maybe it's nice, like cool, we're here and you've grown a lot and you made progress, but it's like, why are we settling for this limit
Yeah.
that there's probably this little dream in your heart? And I know you did this to me one day where um we were talking about competitions and I was like, I've always wanted to do one. And then you're like, I don't remember the exact words. So I'm paraphrasing, but you were kind of like, well, why aren't you doing it? And I was
I probably said exactly that.
like, like it was it was the exact question I needed. Like, why aren't you doing it? And I was like, I don't have a good reason. I don't know. Like, because I probably thought like I need more time. And it's like, why do I need more time? Why do I need to wait what 5 more years? How many more years am I going to
Yeah.
wait? How long is this going to go? And sometimes it's just that that little like, why?
Jump off the cliff. Just do it.
And it was the best thing, like the best thing
Best thing.
for me
I
ever.
love that.
And it's lit such a fire in me in that direction. But it's like, why do we allow ourselves to stop ourselves? And sometimes all you need is like, why? One little thing, why?
So actually, if y'all know Ashley, Coach Ashley, she's one of our trainers here. So there's 4 of us, me and Sierra, Shelby, and Ashley, which every week I'll have one of them on and we'll basically do this. We'll ask questions. Again, if you guys have questions, put them in the comments and we'll answer them. But years and years and years ago, Ashley was actually my client, my personal training client. And she was so funny. I think she had gotten to like 165, or maybe she had gotten to 175 or something like that. And she's like, okay, I think I'm good here. Let's go ahead and reverse to maintenance. I'm like, why? Why do you want to stop here? And she was like, oh, I guess I just never thought I could get here. Because when she started with me, I'm almost positive I remember her exact weight, and it was 206. And so she had gotten down at, gosh, I swear it was 165. And she was like, I'm good. And I literally just asked her, I said, why? Why do you want to stop? And sometimes we don't realize why we're doing things. But then when Sierra was going like this, poking, what she was saying was, sometimes you just need to be asked specific questions. Or like her, she's like, me asking essentially, well, why aren't you doing it then? And you guys, I'm prior active duty Army. Okay. I'm like straight into the point. My heart is so freaking tender and so full of love, but I will just give it to you straight. Right. Same with my staff. I've learned to soften that was something I learned in leadership. My team was like, dang, you're just cutthroat sometimes, like not cutthroat, but like, I just
tell
say
it
it.
like it is. You don't wait. You don't wait, which I love because I think that's what a lot of women do. They're like, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings. And I don't
I'm
want
like,
you
yo.
you're like, what?
But
You did it
I've learned how to soften. I needed to soften for sure. But it's partly that anyway. back onto the other thing, but sometimes we just need to be asked those questions because we don't realize, it's like I tell women all the time, it's like, you don't know your blind spots. We're blind to them. That's why it's so cool, right? Okay. Let's move on to, I want to talk about training. I want to talk about those last few reps of the set. And I also want to talk through like weightlifting belts and creating intra-abdominal pressure in your abs by yourself. But first, I want to talk about the weightlifting. And so, okay, especially in maintenance, a lot of women, and even in deficit, we hear a lot of women say, my body's not changing, my body's not changing. The first reason, ladies, why is your style of lifting. You've probably heard me say this a million times. This was something I learned for myself because I've been a trainer literally 15 straight years. Right when I turned 21, I became a trainer. Maybe I just turned 20. But anyway, that's literally been my lifelong career besides military, but I trained the military in their fitness and nutrition too. I taught courses. I was leading PT, like so much stuff in fitness and nutrition. I was like, where was I going with this? But anyway, I used to teach Les Mills body pump, and I was on the Olympic weightlifting team at Oregon State, and I was a personal trainer, so I was doing like traditional weightlifting. I'd gotten down to about 15% body fat, and I'm like, why don't I look better than this by now? I remember asking my significant other at the time, I said, why does my arm still just look like an arm, like just like a sausage type thing, And he was like, I don't know, you just need to get to a lower body fat. And I was like, I'm pretty shredded, but I felt kind of like manly. I'll be honest. I didn't feel great. Like I was very fit and all that, but I didn't feel like feminine, which a lot of it is mindset, by the way. But a lot of it is your physique. But anyway, and then I competed in Korea when I was active duty military. And that was when I got introduced to physique shaping. And I was like, what the hell is this? I am seeing my abs so beautifully for the first time ever in my life. Maybe in 7th grade, right? I had some abs, but it was like my first, I really did that. I remember that time. But anyway, in my adult life that I had abs, my body was shaping. I felt sexy as hell. And I'm like, okay, WTF is this? And I discovered it's physique shaping. And so especially in maintenance, if you feel you're plateaued, or if you feel in general your body is not changing, it's your style of lifting. Lifting weights is not the magic pill. Lifting weights will build muscle. That's it. You get stronger and you build muscle. To build this gorgeous physique, it must be by design. It must be by design. It's not just like weightlifting. That's like rolling the dice and you're like, I know I'm going to roll double sixes every time ever for the rest of my life. It's like, no, mama, it don't work like that, right? You need more strategy.
Real.
Right. And the other reason is when I have Sierra talk about, and it's really pushing to failure, not, okay, form failure. You need to have the right form at all times. Don't lift heavier to lift heavier. Only lift heavier in your proper form. But go ahead. Otherwise, I'll just say the whole thing and then I'll pass the mic and be like, you just said it all.
Say it all if you want. I can just chime back in. But I think that's one of the other pieces. Like, I'm sorry, I will talk about this, but myth-wise, that like lift heavier. We hear this progressive overload, lift heavy weights, women. And I think a lot of women, like I said, we still have the cardio and like low cal epidemic, but we also have this like lift super heavy, which like, okay, please hear me. Yes.
And progressive overload is good, but it's like the tiniest piece of the puzzle and it's being blown up as if that's the solution. It's like, what?
There's so many pieces that go into all of it. And my favorite is like, especially like I always think about our clients, like when I get form videos, I watch them not just one time. Like it takes me a minute because I'm watching this and then I'm watching this and I'm watching the ankles and I'm watching the hips and the back and then this. I watch it a couple of times because I'm looking for all of how that movement is working as one unit and where are the pieces that we can make better to really activate those glutes. Like I think about glutes. I think that's like not everybody's dream, but like I'll just say I'm working my glutes like to death. I love it. I love leg day. But when I'm thinking about that, like I don't want to grow your hamstrings or quad in a hip thrust.
Exactly.
And then you're feeling it in your hamstrings, in your quads. Well, there's a lot of variables that could be there in your form. You're going to just, all you're going to do is keep working your quads and your hamstrings, and then your glutes, the thing that you want to build and you think you're building, you're doing nothing for it. And then you keep putting on more weight. And then guess what?
Dude.
Of overloading. And I'm like, but we're not even working what we want. And so
Same with the lat pull down and their arms rather than their back.
oh, I
at the gym all the time. I'm like, don't give unsolicited advice.
yesterday even, I was right across from somebody, right across. It was a dude, and he was sitting there like, and I'll like I'm trying to like do my lift, but like it's right in front of my face. And I was like, oh man, buddy, like you probably just need to slow your roll a little bit. And actually
that's not working.
Yeah, but and to me, like especially anytime we are lifting, it's like we're not there just to like get through it. We're there for the intention and purpose of shaping the body. And it's so beautiful when you have that, because you really do get to see the shapes like take shape, but like really grow and build in this beautiful way. And when it comes to that, what I see a lot of people do also is either we're lifting too heavy and not using the right muscles, or we're lifting way too light and leaving so like I see the last rep they do and I'm like, we had 8 more reps. And you probably are like, whoa, it was starting to burn. And I'm like, that burning moment, that moment is actually your sign to go, continue, to drive, to push, keep form.
That's the beginning.
That is
and they think it's the end.
That is literally the place you want to be, because those next reps, that's where we're growing the muscle. Not those everybody knows those first couple reps. So it's like, it goes up, it feels great. And then it gets harder. The middle gets a little harder. You're like, ooh, this is, the burn. I can think of a really great example of just the other day for me for training. I was on the leg extension machine doing my leg extensions, and I was like, it was burning at rep 10, like 10. I was like, my quads are burning. And I was like, you can go. I kept going till 21. And my reps were supposed to be 20 for the record. But like at 21, I was like, I can't get my legs up anymore. But
exactly. You can't get your legs up. Yeah.
I would have stopped at 10.
Yeah.
If the burning, right? And that means rep 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 21. If I'm leaving 4 reps in reserve, that means I had 4 more reps left in me.
Yeah.
I'm not building muscle. I'm not. You're going to maintain what you have, and you're going to be frustrated. And
I say 2 to 3 reps, girl.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree.
But I know go on.
For that 4 rep plus, and sometimes it takes, and I know sometimes clients have shared with me, I'm worried about getting hurt, right? I'm worried about hurt or things like that. And I'm like, and that's why the weight you're using, we get to push. And of course, if your form starts to break or you notice it, stop. I don't want you to push through something that doesn't, but like something like a leg extension. Okay. I can immediately like try it out on an exercise, hamstring curl, leg extension, bicep curl, like try it out on something that like low hanging fruit, that just a nice exercise, like if this doesn't go up, it's just going to come, like I can drop it. It's not going to do anything crazy to me. And the biggest thing I would say is those last reps, that's where you're building the muscle, and you want to get, like, to me, failure is everything. And usually this is where the mind comes in everywhere, but this is where the mind comes in, because your mind's going to tell you, no, stop. This hurts. And you got to be like, no, 1 rep more. I have a mantra. My clients know, they know. I'm like, 1 rep more. And when you do that rep, I want you to go 1 rep more. Yeah. And you do that rep, 1 rep. And I don't want you to stop until you're like, nope, this isn't going up, or my form is breaking, done. Because that is where you're building the muscle. And that is where I see most women, they try to put And of course, if we're going way, way over on reps, like we want to go and push the reps, but say you're also now going to 20 reps and you're supposed to be hitting 10. Well,
Your weight is way too light.
way too light. And
Yeah.
where it's finding that beautiful balance. And it can be a challenge because it's going to take. I had a client send me a video. She was like sitting on the hip thrust and she was like, I took out the part where I was doing my mental pep talk. And I was like, good. Because if you're not giving yourself a mental pep talk, you're not questioning your weight on
You're not
rep
pushing hard
2.
enough.
You're not working hard enough. And people will be like, no, but it burns. And I'm like, I don't care about the burn. I care about you building. And that's where a lot of it can be one of two. And that's why it's so cool to have eyes on it because, like I said, it can be we're lifting with wrong form and we're working the wrong muscles. And we do need to hold weight to really nail the glutes or whatever we're working. It could be the back, the shoulders, or it's we're lifting so light and we're not pushing it close to failure that those moments, and I know that's the hardest part is people are like, I don't know what failure looks like because you've never gone there. Never.
Yeah. Ladies, it's also important to remember if you're lifting with proper form, you're not going to injure yourself. Freaking push it. Like think about gosh, even a shoulder press. Like failure would be you're keeping your form and I can't go.
This
My shoulder is not going to tear because I've worked up to that strength, right? My abs are tight, my chest is open, I'm lifting with proper form. Push until you can't push anymore and then put the weight down, right? But if you're like, oh yeah, I probably could have done a couple more, you're lifting too light and you're not going to build that much muscle. And that's, the Australian strength coach, he worked with Hattie a bunch.
Yeah.
He just posted a research review showing that if you're not going to failure those last few reps, you are not building muscle. And it's like, so many of y'all say, I just need to give it more time. It's like, no, never, ever is that actually what you need to do. Your strategy needs to change. How you're approaching it needs to change. The intentionality and the knowledge, because you don't know what you don't know, needs to change. Or we're going to have the same conversation in 6 months or in a year or in a few years. You guys, some of you I've had the same conversation with years later, and you're in the same spot. That should never be happening. It should never be happening. And it plays right back into sitting in your comfort zone, but also just like having this thought of, I just need to give it more time. It's like muscle mass takes time, but your body should be constantly changing. And if it's not, it's not more time. You're not doing the right thing.
And that's usually the biggest thing. And even with, and I think we all go through it where your mind is saying like, oh, this hurts. No, no, no. And, or I'm tired, my body, my mind, very real. And there's where sometimes it's like the body is always can do more. Something I learned in prep. Yeah. Trust me, 2 hours of cardio a day, plus my workout, plus, your body can do a lot. It can handle way more than you think. And yet that's an extreme. That was for prep, would never put nobody through that. But when I did that, like it really made me realize like I can push in my workouts more. I can push here more. And though it's so simple, but I know this is the hardest part because you're going to have to say one more rep. And just because you do that one more rep, I want you to keep going one more rep.
Yeah.
One more rep. Like until because you might realize like, wow, I was able to bust out 15 reps with this weight. I'm supposed to be hitting 8. I need to not just move my weight up 5 pounds, probably 10, and go put those dumbbells or whatever, put it back, go pick up a heavier weight, that second set, and go and really get a chance to feel muscles working, to feel your body driving up the weight. It's the best. I hate and love it all at the same time.
And ladies, it builds so much mental resilience, which carries over in every aspect of life. And it's part of what builds this like unshakable confidence, because when you're in the gym and you're building that mental resilience of, I can do hard things. Dang, I didn't even think I could do that. And I just did that. Well, what else can I do? That's like women. This happens all the time at Queens of Iron. They hit their goals and they're like, I literally never thought I would hit that goal. What else can I do? It's like, hell yeah, let's make new goals because it just breeds more and more and more confidence. Like it's life changing. And that's partly why sometimes we do higher reps is because it's like, we're going to build some more mental resilience here for you because it will change your life.
It does.
Yeah.
Because those last couple reps of that, brutal.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have 12 more. Okay, cool. So I have a question I want to ask you, but I think maybe I'll ask you once we're off because let me think about it. I'm not sure. It's about mechanical advantage. And so it's partly me just wanting to talk about it, but I'm like, do you think if we talked about it, do you think it would I feel like it might add confusion. That's why I wasn't sure.
Could, but it could also be, it can be helpful as a tool. Mechanical advantage is basically using different like lengthened and shortened positions, which there's different ways we lengthen a muscle or we contract. So when you're lengthening, you're stretching, and like shortening, you're contracting. So for example, like a kickback, I'm going to use kickbacks. We are shortening at the very top of that movement, and the lengthening happens at the bottom. So we're stretching, getting a nice stretch, and then we're coming back. Now using that and paired with something like we're working the glutes, and then you pair it with like a hip thrust. The cool part is a cable kickback. If I do that first, I warm up the glutes, I activate the glutes, where it's a lot harder. When you're driving back in a kick, like anybody knows, I can lift a lot on a hip thrust, but you give me a kickback, I'm not lifting as much. And the cool part is I'm using that shortened range at the top where I'm sorry, I don't know why my elbow is my
no, it's helping
as my leg, but as I'm driving back, that top position is really hard and we're hitting the glutes. But then that is not advantage. We're not really at an advantage there. But then what can happen is I'm getting the glutes nice and toasty and warm, like I'm feeling them. They're locked in. And this is one of those things, like if you're feeling it in your back, not where we want to feel it.
Your abs are not engaged either.
Abs are not engaged.
Yeah.
You're using a little too much momentum. You may also, this sounds weird, but like I have different ladies where we have to play around with the angle of their torso of what feels best. And some ladies, it's a little higher. Some it's a little bit more, I'd say like 45, some 65, like some like really dependent on every single person. So,
and actually, hold on, really quick tangent. That's why you should never watch a YouTube video or TikTok or Instagram and when they're like, you need to do it this way. It's like, but my bones are different than yours. It's like, no one can tell you exactly how to do your lift their way. It needs to be done in a way that makes sense for your body. And that's why we have clients send us form feedback. It's like, we need to see how your body is moving and what you need, not just like, here's the squat. Okay, well, my Colombian clients are going to have a much wider squat than the chicks from Georgia. It's just going to be so different.
I'm tall, but it's all in my legs. I have these long femurs, long tibias, and my squat is not going to look like somebody
Mine.
Yeah, probably not even yours. You're tall too, but I'm going to have a much more parallel squat. I'm going to have a much more tipped over torso, which people be like, chest up, chest up. No, guess what? There's no way I can, with my mechanics and my how everything is made, not going to happen. I can definitely use tools like elevating my heels and things like that to allow a little bit more of a knee. But my femurs, they are long, and there's no way my squat is going to look like somebody else's, and your squat's not going to look like mine. And it's where it can get so confused. Like, I'm so glad you said that, because you see these beautiful squats, or they're like, you need to get this perfect low, or this. Well, it depends.
Time out. Yeah.
And I feel like that is so powerful, because, social media be like, this is the perfect way. And it's like, there is always going to be a way for your body, because
same with nutrition and macros. And lifestyle.
Real.
Mhm.
Seriously, conversations this morning with clients, like we are working from where they are versus them trying to
Mhm.
be perfect. And that can be hard because they're like, I should be doing X, Y, and Z. When it's like, well, wait, why should we? Why aren't we
Mhm.
starting here and building these beautiful stepping stones to get us to the place where maybe we want to
Mhm.
be eventually? But why are we trying to do it all in one swoop? Like, why are we jumping over all these stones and we're going to be trying to hang off of a cliff? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, well,
That's one of the hugest differences between our program, which is like a concierge level of support. It is all about you one-on-one all the time. So you
yeah,
learn so much about you. You get amazing results because it's all about you. It makes sense for you and your body and your lifestyle. You learn how to maintain it. It's amazing versus a one size fits all or like a little bit different for each person. It's like you're not going to get that much from it and you're always going to be left needing more.
yeah.
100% of the time you're always going to be left needing more, and that sucks. Okay, so we were talking about the mechanical advantage. And so, my question then, because I've always thought of the pre-exhaustion, right? And so why would you put the kickback before the hip thrust? And I totally understand turning them on, the mind muscle connection, but wouldn't that play a role in pre-exhaustion, putting more hammies than in the hip thrust?
It would and wouldn't. It depends. The biggest thing, like I said, because we're working it in that shortened position and we're not being able to lift nearly as much. So then we move into
Yeah.
a hip thrust, right? We have a lot more advantage in a hip thrust because the movement itself is more powerful. We've got,
Mm.
yes, you are going to have more muscles working. It's not just isolated glutes. Yes, you do have your quads and your hamstrings working. They shouldn't be taking over the movement, but
Yeah.
you do have this more compound lift. And so what's happening is we're in the lengthened position. We're stretching at the bottom and driving up at the top. We're much more powerful. We can
Yeah.
lift heavier. And so the advantage comes, yes, my glutes might be a little bit toasty. They've been worked, they're warmed up. But now as I head into my hip thrust, I have the advantage to lift heavier, to bring again more to this like whole movement than just like isolating my glutes. And of course, you can get a little hamstring in your kickbacks. But as we move into that, if we do bring the hamstrings and they are a little bit fatigued, again, it brings the glutes back into the power play versus the
Yeah.
hamstrings, the movement. And now, not only are we working the glutes and we've worked it in the shortened position, but now we're doing it in a totally different, the lengthened. And we have this advantage to still lift heavy, to still push it. And then your glutes, mind muscle connection is already there. So as you're driving up, the glutes are like,
Yeah.
hello, I feel you. I got it. And especially for people who do struggle to feel their glutes, it is a really amazing like pairing, even though I wouldn't do that all the time because sometimes we
Yeah.
want to have just hip thrust number one. It's best to sometimes have those movements we want to be strong, powerful in from the get-go. And like something like an excess, that's a very isolation movement
Yeah.
back at the end. But doing
Right.
that allows the advantage of the glutes really, really firing. And the advantage comes because like I can lift heavier in the hip thrust, I can lift more weight, and my glutes are already like, hello, I'm here, I'm working. And I'm not joking, the pump, the everything that you get from
Yeah.
it, you can actually be like, yeah, my after those hip thrusts, your glutes better be toast.
Yeah.
You better be like, yeah, my glutes are done for today because it is just setting up like I'm warmed up and activated, but I can crush these hip thrusts probably 10 times more. Not really, but in my opinion, this is my like anecdotal, like not researched. So I will say that for the record. But with it, it can be really powerful and other movements too.
Yeah.
So it just can let, especially for women. And I find a lot of women do struggle with hip thrust, which is fascinating because it's, such a powerhouse move for glutes. There's
Yeah.
lots of beautiful ones. Um, but it can easily, I see so many ladies, their quads or their hamstrings taking over. And, you'll see on social media, it's just the angle of your feet. And sometimes it's not even the angle of your feet. It's literally so many other mechanic pieces in your movements. And
Yeah.
we can nail those glutes. Like I have literally seen clients glutes grow because they are really locking in, not just like locking in the movement, but the mind muscle connection and
Yeah.
really being able to like squeeze those glutes up, get those last reps, and really get everything out of them.
Yeah. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Ladies, any questions? Do you guys have any questions? What's up, everybody on IG? Everyone on Facebook? So glad you guys are here. I hope this was really valuable. There's so many more questions that I wanted to ask, but we will have you back again. Ladies, for those of you who are interested in one-on-one coaching to have the exact right nutrition and lifting protocol to really build and shape the body that you're freaking proud of and confident in and can maintain for the rest of your life, comment coaching. Sierra has, I think, 2 spots opening up the end of this month. I'll have to look at the waitlist schedule. And then I have a couple spots open right now as well. So we'd love to talk through that with you, talk through your goals, how we can serve you and support you to make sure it's a good fit. It's really laid back. We love for women to, love what they're doing and want to be here and enjoy the community. It's never like enroll. It's like, we don't need that. We're not here for that. We're here to love you and serve you and support you because we've been on the other side and now we're on this side and we're like, let's get as many women as possible on this side because this side's freaking amazing.
It is. When you
You'll never go back.
Never. And you just know, you're like, I want every woman to have this because it changed my life. And I bet you anything you'd say the same, like not just fitness and nutrition, but like everything. Yep.
100%. Cool. Anything you want to say before we hop off?
Oh my gosh, no. I'm worried I'll start some tangent.
I know we've been on for an hour, so let's cut it now. Amazing, ladies. Well, next week we'll be back. I think it's Shelby that's going to be on next week. And then, so I'll keep rotating through the trainers. So every Wednesday, you'll have us, and seriously, we're here to answer questions and anything you need. So I hope this was really valuable for you and you got a lot out of it. And I really appreciate you being here. Okay. Have a great day. We'll see you later.